Tuesday, June 6th, 1944. As the sun rose over the beaches of Normandy, more than 150,000 men began landing along a 50-mile stretch of the French coast, determined to liberate Europe from the Nazis. Among the forces who formed part of Operation Overlord were 7 Gibraltarians, all of whom survived the battle, all of whom came home after the war. Today we remember their service and that of the many, many others who played a part in this crucial turning point for the Allies.
The first one really who was involved was Luis Tañeta. He jumped ahead of D-Day to basically, he was proficient in French, so he was working the intelligence corps. His task was to coordinate the activities of the French resistance ahead of the landings and then to coordinate the French resistance attacks. Then we had 2 on the beaches itself, one on Sword Beach, Lieutenant John Patron, who was 5 Commander Royal Marines, one of the first units to hit the beach. And then on Juno Beach, which was the Canadian beach, we had Albert Sanchez, who was a Royal Engineers. He helped with the bridging, with clearing mines and bridging, and he was also instrumental in setting up the Mulberry harbours, which, as you probably know, was a crucial part of them bringing in all the heavy equipment in the days and weeks that followed.
Massive operation.
Massive, yeah. And Albert was, crucial in doing that. At sea, we had Bernard Vaughan. So Bernard was a young sailor on a ship called HMS Albury, which was a minesweeper, and he actually went ahead of the flotilla because what they were doing was obviously clearing all the German mines.
My father was Bernard Vaughan. He was a lawyer in Gibraltar. He joined the Navy when he was very young. I think it was to escape being put in the army, but he ended up being in the Royal Marines, and then he switched to the minesweeper. He was in D-Day. The minesweepers went out first. They cleared the channel, then they cleared the beaches, and they were the first boats to sort of clear the way for the invasion, and one of the first boats to bring back any wounded. He was very proud of his medals, which I'm wearing now. And he would wear them at any occasion he could.
And then on the next couple of days, we had Jimmy Viñales, who was with the Royal Artillery, and he manned 25-pounder guns. So he was part of the famous 7th Armoured Division, the Desert Rats, and he was in support of the Canadian units, trying to get a foothold and then eventually break through.
Our father, James Viñales, he was involved in the Battle of Normandy, and then continued into the final assault.
That's right. He was in the 4th Armoured Division, the Royal Horse Artillery, and he was living in UK at the time, and he decided to sign up for the army.
At 17.
17 he was.
So he actually went into battle when he was just after his 18th birthday.
That's right.
We also had Joseph Robber, who came a bit later on, towards the end of the Normandy campaign. He was a pioneer, and he also played a very important part in repairing lines of communication, railways. And the last one we had was a relation of mine, Peter Brancato, who had emigrated to the States in the late 1920s. Him and his 3 brothers enlisted in the U.S. Army to fight. They weren't yet U.S. citizens. They were British subjects still. They gained citizenship a couple of years later. And Peter itself landed with General Patton's 3rd Army. He was a tank commander a few weeks into the operation, and he was involved in Patton's famous breakout from what is known as the Falaise Gap. So Patton pushed through and eventually reached all the way down to Paris. So there you have it. Gibraltarians in the thick of it at that particular so important part of the war and, of course, of history.